You would think the drama was finally over. The roster was announced. The explanations were given. The games moved on, but behind the scenes, something far more chaotic was unfolding. Because while the public debate stayed focused on defense, chemistry, and experience, Team USA was quietly dealing with a nightmare scenario they never planned for. Caitlin Clark wasn't just sitting out the Olympics. According to growing reports, she was actively refusing to play along at all. And that realization sent executives, sponsors, and leadership into full panic mode.
It's a good bounce back win for us today. I thought we started the game with the right tone on the defensive end. And so that was
What followed was a desperate move no one expected. A move so bold, so reckless, that it may have permanently shifted the power balance in women's basketball. Team USA allegedly tried to buy her back. Behind closed doors, conversations reportedly grew frantic. The backlash online wasn't slowing down, casual fans weren't letting it go, ratings projections started slipping. Olympic hype that was supposed to peak was suddenly flatlining. The numbers told a story leadership didn't want to hear. Without Caitlin Clark, the gold medal run didn't feel like must-watch television. So the scramble began. According to insiders, Team USA leadership and network partners quietly explored ways to undo the damage without publicly admitting a mistake. They needed something symbolic, something loud, something that would flip the narrative overnight. That's when the unthinkable idea surfaced. They would offer Caitlin Clark jersey number 12. For casual fans, it might sound harmless, just a number stitched onto fabric. But inside women's basketball, that number carries weight that can't be overstated. Number 12 doesn't belong to just anyone. It belongs to Diana Taurasi. For 2 decades, that number has symbolized the old guard, the hierarchy, the era where veterans ruled the program and rookies waited their turn. Offering that number to a rookie isn't a sign of respect. It's a political earthquake. It's the equivalent of handing someone the throne while the queen is still standing in the room. The offer was meant to be an olive branch, a peace offering, a signal that everything was fine, that the transition of power was happening smoothly. But instead of accepting it, Caitlin Clark allegedly looked at the situation and walked away. No hesitation, no negotiation, just no. That single refusal may have changed everything. Because this wasn't about a jersey. It was about leverage. Accepting number 12 would have instantly turned Caitlin into the villain inside that locker room. Veterans already frustrated by the media attention would have seen it as arrogance, whether she intended it or not. Cameras would frame it as a passing of the torch that nobody asked for. Caitlin saw the setup. She understood that wearing Taurasi's number wouldn't unite the team. It would isolate her before she ever touched the court. It would place a target on her back in an environment built on hierarchy and unspoken rules. So she declined. And in doing so, she sent a message far louder than any press conference ever could. She wasn't going to be used as a marketing fix. This wasn't even the first warning sign leadership ignored. Months earlier, Caitlin had already declined another Olympic-related offer that should have raised alarms. The 3x3 team. On paper, it sounded like an opportunity, a path to Paris, a chance to wear USA across her chest. But in reality, fans saw it for what it was. A side stage? 3x3 is gritty. It's fast. But it isn't the main event. It doesn't carry the same prestige, the same legacy, or the same spotlight. Suggesting that path felt less like inclusion and more like compromise. Caitlin said no then too. That rejection proved something crucial. She wasn't desperate. She wasn't chasing validation. She wasn't going to accept symbolic roles just to say she was there. She knew her value. And that knowledge put Coach Cheryl Reeve in an impossible position. Publicly, Reeve insisted the decision was purely basketball-based. Defense, experience, chemistry. She even said she took the bullets for the committee, absorbing criticism to protect the program. But as these reports about jersey offers and failed negotiations surfaced, that narrative began to crack. Because if the decision was so clear, Why circle back? Why quietly offer one of the most sacred numbers in program history? Why scramble at all? The answer becomes obvious when you follow the money. NBC and Olympic sponsors were counting on the Caitlin Clark effect. They had the data. They saw what she did to NCAA ratings. They watched the WNBA draft explode. They assumed that audience would carry straight into Paris. Without her, the excitement dipped. And with every new report about her refusal, it dipped further. The number 12 offer wasn't about basketball unity. It was about optics. It was about creating a viral image of harmony. Look at her wearing the Legends number. Look how united this team is. But Caitlin refused to play that role. And by doing so, she stripped away the camouflage. The jersey itself tells the whole story. In sports, numbers are identities. Jordan is 23. Gretzky is 99. In women's Team USA history, Taurasi is 12. Offering that number suggested internal panic bordering on hysteria. It implied that leadership was trying to force a moment instead of letting one happen naturally. It would have created an awkward media circus where everyone pretended not to notice the tension standing right there. Ironically, Caitlin's refusal showed more respect to Taurasi than the offer ever did. She protected the veteran's legacy instead of participating in a stunt that would diminish it. And there was another factor no one talks about enough: exhaustion. Caitlin Clark has been playing non-stop basketball for over a year. A brutal college season, a national title run, immediate transition into the WNBA, night after night of full court pressure and physical defense. She was visibly worn down. Why fly to Paris to sit on a bench or navigate a hostile locker room when her body finally needed rest? The jersey offer may have been the moment she realized this wasn't about her well-being at all. It was about eyeballs, ratings, headlines. And the loudest part of this entire saga might be the silence. No statements, no polite denials, no carefully worded gratitude posts, just silence. That silence speaks volumes. It lines up with everything fans have seen all season: the physical play, the no calls, the tension bubbling just beneath the surface, the growing divide between the new era and the old regime. The Olympic refusal wasn't sudden. It was the culmination of months of friction. And now, the fallout is unavoidable. Teammates who did make the roster are forced to answer questions about someone who isn't even there. Every dip in ratings, every empty seat, every lackluster moment will be tied back to Caitlin Clark. The shadow she casts is larger than the team itself. Looking ahead, the implications are massive. The 2028 Olympics will be in Los Angeles. Home soil, prime time. Caitlin Clark will be in her absolute prime. The question isn't whether she'll be good enough, it's whether she'll want anything to do with this system. Because this refusal wasn't about being difficult, it was about control. It set a precedent that the talent doesn't have to bend to outdated hierarchies anymore. If Team USA wants her in 2028, a recycled jersey number won't cut it. They'll need trust, transparency, and probably an apology. Coach Reeves' comments about taking the bullets now sound less like sacrifice and more like resignation. Once Caitlin was left off the original roster, there was no winning move. Every attempt to fix it only made the situation worse. It looked disorganized, reactionary, desperate. Fans see it clearly. They don't see arrogance in Caitlin's refusal, they see self-respect. A young star standing up to a system that wanted to use her without fully embracing her. The jersey number 12 story has already taken on a life of its own, a modern sports folk tale, one player versus the institution. And in that story, Team USA didn't just lose a player. They may have created a rival, because this isn't just about one Olympics. It's about the future of women's basketball, about who controls the narrative, and about whether the old rules still apply in a new era where one player can move the entire economy of the sport. Caitlin Clark didn't need Team USA to validate her. But Team USA may have needed Caitlin Clark far more than they ever admitted. And by walking away from that jersey, she made sure everyone finally understood that.